Yeah, we're obviously disappointed. 2 years in a row, we've worked really hard to get to a place where we can try and win the conference, and have fallen short to the same team 2 years in a row. And Montana State deserves all the credit. They're a tremendous program with a great staff, great players, and we got to keep growing, keep working as a program. To get to a point where when we get in those games, we can find a way to win them. And I'm extremely motivated to try and get that done. I think it's okay to have lofty goals, and I'd much rather have lofty goals and fail than make the goals more achievable just so we can say we're successful. So I'm okay with saying that we failed to achieve our goal of winning the Big Sky. Look forward to taking many more runs at it. But I'm super proud of our team for what we've been through this year and the adversity we've had to overcome, and just how hard they continue to fight and play with a lot of Aggie pride. And luckily, that's not our last game, and we get to have one more game this year against a great team, a great opponent with great coaching staff, and they're obviously playing really well and are super talented, and we know how much this game means to the community and to Davis. So every year our goal is to win the Big Sky and beat our rivals, and that's the team down south and team across the causeway. So we still have an opportunity to achieve one of our goals and beating our rivals, and it's going to be a tremendous challenge against a really, really good team that's playing really well. So hopefully it's a great turnout here at home, and we can fill this place up, and I feel very fortunate to be a part of the program, for the last Causeway ever. And I'm fired up about that. I'm very thankful that I get to be here for that, because it's an important game for history of both programs, and it'll be fun to be a part of the last one. And hopefully, both teams can play well, and it's a great football game in a great place with a big crowd. So looking forward to that. I think that's probably more of an administrator question, but obviously if they go up like they're planning to do, then they got to be willing to compensate us the way an FBS team would compensate us. And I don't know if they'd be willing to do that, or they'd have to play us here once in a while, which FBS teams don't play FCS teams on the road. So me personally, I don't see it happening, but obviously I would love to keep playing them if it works out. Yeah, it's a bummer. I'm a Pac-12 after dark guy. Grew up watching UCLA, USC, and Cal, Stanford, and watching all those teams play each other throughout the conference. And this was our game, right? This is our game for this community, and it's been a special game. I've been a part of some really great games, some moments where we came up short, and some moments where we pulled off some magic. But all the games always tend to have a good story behind it. It's always competitive. It doesn't matter if you're 0-12 or 12-0. I think both teams really want to win the game, and that's what college football should be about, right? So like I said, I'm really really thankful I get to be here for the last one, and I'm hopeful and that it'll be a great game and something people remember for a while. Yeah, I think it's kind of out of our control, at that point, playoff committees and picking who they want and all that. The only way you're guaranteed in is to win the conference, and neither of us are going to do that. So I don't really look at it like playing for our playoff lives. I think we've done a lot of great things. We've, beat Mercer on the road in Alabama, and I think they're ranked 6th in the country this week, and, beat NAU, and they were a ranked team. So we got 2 ranked wins on our resume and 8 wins, and I've always felt like if you win 8 games, you should be in, especially in our conference. But at the end of the day, if we were 0-12 with no shot at the playoffs, this would still be the biggest game on the schedule. So, but I think it's cool that there's other stuff on the line, and both programs are playing well enough where, they could both be playing in the playoffs, and that's awesome. It's great for the community that both teams are playing good football. Yeah, I mean, watching the film last night, they do a tremendous job, Coach Mary and his staff, of creating a lot of conflict in different formational sets. And I mean, if you try to watch all their formations during a week, it'll take you probably all the way to Friday with the amount of ways they line up and create numbers conflicts. So they do a great job formationally of putting you in a tough spot. And then, because their quarterback's a great athlete, you always got to have him as a run threat. And then they got some tremendous tailbacks, especially number 2, who's one of the better ones we've seen all year. So, and Coach Richardson does a great job with the front, and they're super physical. So I think they're physical, which makes it difficult, but then their formational adjustments and the running threat of the quarterback make it tough to handle. So I can see why they've had so much success. No, don't know him at all, but I've obviously followed the career path a little bit and seen the success he had at the different stops he's had. I was a receiver coach years ago, and he was a great receiver coach. I remember watching some stuff that he had done, but never really been in the same groups or whatever. But he's had a lot of success and does a great job. A couple come to mind. The first one I was a part of, Ryan Flanagan got a staph infection in his hand from North Dakota State, and early in the game he was playing, and then he wasn't feeling great, and he came over, and we were looking at him, and his hand had swollen up, looked like he got ran over by a car, and so John Berrigan had to go in, and Johnny was he was just magical, running around making throws, and he threw a touchdown pass to Dr. Mo Mortazavi in the end zone to win the game. And Mo used to come to practice in his scrubs because he was going through medical school here. And it was like the most Davis guy moment. So he would show up at practice in his scrubs, take his scrubs off, put his pads on, was a walk-on receiver, and then he wins the game against them. So that was the first one that came to mind. I remember the rain game here when I was a coach, one of the first years I was coaching, and the rain lightning, and they dismissed everybody out of the stadium. And then both teams had to walk through the stands to get back on the field because the tunnel was flooded, and it was monsoon with 30-mile-an-hour winds, and Bob was yelling at me because we wouldn't throw a pass, and he wanted to throw the ball, and we couldn't throw it. I was trying to convince him it was impossible to throw, but I remember we decided the only time we could throw was on the first play of the drive because that was when the ball was dry. And Slim hit Sean Critic on a deep post, and then we ended up punting the ball, and they muffed the punt, and we just took 4 knees and kicked a field goal through the rain and got out of there. So I remember that one, and then obviously the game in 2018 where we had the fires and we had to go up to Reno, and we played great and won a share of the Big Sky titles. Those are probably the 3 that come to mind off the bat. Yeah, no, I think they've done a great job of renovating their stadium, and they got great support from the students, and it was a really fun game. I mean, our guys were excited. It's on ESPN. You got a great crowd, a great team, kind of going blow for blow there for a while, and then the turnovers got us at the end, and I think the bummer is felt like we were playing really well defensively. We were moving the ball. I think we had 28 first downs, and we're moving the ball pretty consistently. With just the turnovers got us, and so it's just a bummer. But again, they're a great team, and if you make mistakes like that, they're going to make you pay. And but those are the games you fight really hard to be a part of. I think that's what I was trying to remind the guys is it took 9 months for us to get to that game and just to be in the game. And I think hopefully they've learned now over the last couple of years that they're good enough to play in those games, and they don't need to have any fear of what could happen in those games, and just play more free and not be afraid to make mistakes. And hopefully we keep putting ourselves back in a situation. And told them again, the only way to really gain confidence, in my opinion, is confidence doesn't come from winning. Confidence comes from losing, because when you lose enough, you learn to get rid of the fear of failure. And I think they just have to have more belief that they can finish those games, staff, players, and I think those tough losses are going to be stuff that we can build off of in the future, and just got to keep working hard and get ourselves back in that game. And I'm a firm believer that this place can get to the point where we can compete with those teams every year. We just got to keep getting ourselves into those games, and we'll find a way to win them. Yeah, always really great to celebrate the guys. You know, you got a bunch of different types of seniors nowadays. You got the guys that have been here 4, 5, 6 years, and you got the guys that have been here 1 year. Really proud of this team for how they've come together, and you know, we talked about how unity would be really important for this team, and man, they've become a really close group. You know, adding in these guys that have been here for a year, and you think about the degrees some of these guys have, and how influential they're going to be in their communities as people, but also, you know, the husbands and fathers they're going to be. And so just very, very proud of this group. I know they want to keep playing football, and they're very motivated to play well this week and hopefully earn the opportunity to keep playing. You know, I think they believe they can keep playing football this year, and they really want to. So I really want that for them. But just proud of the way they've come together and the work these guys have put in. And you know, you got a lot of pressure coming back from a great season, arguably one of the better seasons ever, and they come back and put together another 8-win, hopefully 9-win season, and competing for championships and some big wins. And so really proud of those guys. You know, my wife and I always have them over this week, so we get to have all the seniors over to the house, and so it's just it's a cool time to celebrate those guys. And best way to celebrate is to play well in the Causeway.
For homecoming, you said that you weren't surprised, but you didn't know that like Lamb was going to show up. Anybody that you are thinking is going to show up, that may show up, may not show up, for to support the senior class?
Yeah, I have no idea with those guys. They just kind of float. I mean, we had the Idaho State game. Also, we had like Wes Priest and Hunter Rodriguez. All of a sudden, they at my office, outside my office when I'm walking back before the game. So I wish those guys would tell me when they're coming once in a while. I think they like to surprise me and scare me. But yeah, I hope we got a huge turnout. You know, I think it's again, should be something that we celebrate. Last time we're going to ever do this. Hopefully everyone comes out from across the Causeway, and hopefully the community of Davis comes out, and we can celebrate 2 great teams and in a great environment. Hopefully it's blue sky bigs weather, and it's one of those games that we can remember for a long time. But it'll be more memorable if we can get a great crowd, and I'm really hopeful that everybody shows up. Yeah, I think the first thing I think of is it shows that, you know, we're having success. You know, if people think that highly of you and they want to talk to you about their opening, it shows that we're doing the right things here. You know, if no one would be asking about me or any of our coaches if we were losing a bunch of games. So I think first thing is it makes you feel like we're on the right track, we're doing the right things. If myself or anybody on staff's getting floated around for something. But I think the main thing I try to explain to people is, you know, I didn't just come to Davis to try to show I can be a good head coach and further my career. You know, I came to Davis to win championships and to try to build something special here. So I know that every coach will say I'm never leaving or any of that, and it would be extremely irresponsible for me to say I'm never going to leave. But I just think with the connection I have with Davis and the commitment I have to the community and what I'm trying to build here, it would have to be a tremendous situation to take me out of that. And I also think the landscape of college football has changed in that, you know, there's 25, 30 teams that are kind of doing their own thing here, and they're $30 million rosters, and they're playing a different football. I think everyone below that is the same level of football. And so a lot of the opportunities you're going to get from a Big Sky job are going to be at schools that, in you know, all reality, are about in the same bank right now, unless they can prove that they're not, right? And so I think everyone's kind of gotten grouped together in the same situation. So it doesn't mean those aren't great opportunities, but for me to leave a place like this, it would have to be something that's different than what I already have. And I just don't see that happening for a long time with the things I need to get done here. But I also heard something the other day that it kind of hit home for me, is that I feel like in life your opportunities are kind of like the sails in your ship. And so what's your anchor and what's blowing the sails, right? Your job opportunities are going to be the wind that pushes your voyage, right? And so if you decide to pull up anchor and go somewhere else, those could be great opportunities, but those winds can also take you onto a different path, as I've learned the hard way too, right? And so I think they look flashy. Your paycheck's a lot more. And obviously my wife would love that, so she could go buy more things. But I think at the end of the day, it's more about what your anchor is, you know. And my anchor is Christine and the boys, and I'm not just going to pull up anchor and leave home because those wins seem like they're going to push us in the right place, when in reality those wins could take into some deep, dark waters. So I'm more focused on my anchor, which is Davis and Christine and the boys. And at some point, if those wins seem for the right voyage, then we'll look at that. But I'm all about trying to make this place the best it can be. And as we saw the other night, we're not where we want to be yet. So until we get that done, it's going to be pretty hard for me to leave. Yeah, no, I think the hard thing is I don't want it to feel like excuses. Like we could have coached better, we could have played better, and when we lose football games, it is 100% my fault, right? So I don't want anyone to feel like we lost that game because of something outside of me. If I do a better job coaching and I prepare our team better, I think we can beat anybody right now. But consistently, for us to be at that level, if you go to those places, they're doing it better than we are. And when I try to explain that to our administration or our donors or our students or anyone that's interested to hear me talk about it, it's as if you're getting your butt kicked for 9 months, 10 months out of the year. Like every single day, we're losing off the field. And then one day a year, we got to go in there and be better than them. And that doesn't seem like a fair fight to me, And on the flip side, I've also been here when we weren't even close to that, right? And we've done such a great job as a community, as students, as donors, as administration, build this great facility. We got this great stadium, got a great practice facility. We're feeding the players better. We're traveling better. Like, we're getting better. But we're not doing the things that the Montanas and the Dakotas are doing. And so when you see the rankings, it's the same 4 or 5 teams at the top, and we're kind of part of that next group. And I'm really thankful that we're part of that next group. We've worked really hard. Dan Hawkins and everybody worked hard to get us there, and that's probably why this feels like such a gut punch. Is I came here to try to get us into that group, and every time one of them beats us, it feels like obviously it feels like a failure. It feels like we're still short. We got to find ways to get over the hump, and that's why beating Montana last year on the road was a big win. But we got to figure out a way to get that done. It starts with me and building our team to be as physical and as competitive as possible, to play good football so that when we get in those games, we can perform to our absolute best. And I just hope that we've played well enough where the people that surround the program are willing to help us close that gap, so that maybe we're not losing off the field all year, and it's equal off the field. And I am a firm believer that if we make it a fair fight, that we will find a way to win.